fast.
Do you need it, though? You got Adams.
Separation is important.
Oh, okay.
If you're talking about like for the Packers.
The
No,
Packers.
you don't need Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
But if you mean top end, like he's not going to run the 4.2 like Henry Ruggs. Yeah, I think he's going to be that step behind it. But he's fast. He's not slow.
I mean, you're just talking about he's 6'2". I mean, he's tall, but he's not massive. Like it's just like
he looks like a running back running the ball out there.
He kind of looks like a DK Metcalf in a sense.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's fast too. Again, maybe not Henry Ruggs, but he's fast.
And he might not be as fast as DK Metcalf either.
Well, DK Metcalf is incredibly fast.
That's what
he
I'm
just
saying.
can't turn. All right, we'll move on. I actually have them taking Justin Jefferson. Again, the production doesn't worry me. Everyone says, you play with Joe Burrow, so that's a negative, but I see it as a positive.
My only issue is Adams plays a lot of slot, so you'd be talking about a guy taking your top receiver's option out. You'd have to see which one you're going to put on the outside.
You're the Packers. You can run 2 slots. You can run 4 receivers out there.
You could, but
I'm with you. But I also have 6 other wide receivers off the board, and Devontae Adams does play outside. Justin Jefferson can play outside.
But Adams plays a lot of slot.
Sure. But
because that's the quickest way to get him the ball.
What are you going to do when you have the best wide receiver left on the board? Are you going to stay away from him, or are you going to just take the guy and say, we'll find a way to make it work? I think they're going to find a way to make it work.
I think you're right. I think if Jefferson's there, you take him. But it is an issue with scheme, and you will have to figure out how to get both of them on.
Go back to the old school Green Bay, put 4 receivers out there, and then guess what? You got 2 slots. I understand the concern, but when you're looking at a guy like Justin Jefferson still standing in the face, maybe this is Brandon Ayuk instead, because like you said, they might rather have the outside guy. But even though I don't know that Ayuk's the outside guy.
I get it. If Jefferson's there, you take him. 100%.
Exactly. I think just the skill gap between him and the next closest guy is big enough that you're going to go and take Justin Jefferson instead. And the Packers, to me, it was either linebacker or wide receiver, and I didn't respect enough the linebackers to take him in the first round.
I'll give you that.
So I gave him the wide receiver. We'll move on. We'll talk about the 49ers.
Let's do it.
I think Grant Delpit actually finds his landing spot here. Even though this defense has great players in the secondary, I think them adding to it actually only helps them, especially with the way that pass rush goes. Adding a center fielder like Delpit could generate enough turnovers that could turn the Super Bowl loss into a Super Bowl win.
I like it. I think they focus on their secondary, but they're going to go Damon Arnett out of Ohio State. An instinctive, tough, versatile corner that can play man, can play zone, strong tackler, not afraid to hit people. But really, the only thing that's here is his off-the-field concerns. His mental makeup could make his downfall in this draft. I think this guy might be talked about as a higher pick if everything didn't lean towards a guy that they're like, this is the corner that's kind of like Jalen Ramsey, that's already Jalen Ramsey before the fame. It's like, do you want this guy around you? But he kind of gets
you deal with Richard Sherman.
You kind of get overshadowed. Well, Richard Sherman's a smart kind of annoying guy.
Well, okay, I didn't mean that.
But this guy gets overshadowed from the other gentleman of Ohio State, the corner that I'm blanking on his name right now.
It's Okudah.
Okudah, yeah.
I'll say this: you deal with all the quote unquote distraction or the talking, the chirpiness that you get out of Richard Sherman. I don't think the chirpiness necessarily scares him. I like that. I like that pick. I do. I think the 49ers, any kind of help to that secondary is exactly what it needs when your defensive line looks as set as it is. I like it a lot. I think they go safety instead, but I think they could definitely take a corner as well.
It makes sense. He'd be a perfect replacement for Jimmy Ward.
Moving on, let's talk about our last pick, the Chiefs, Super Bowl winners, so that they don't need anyone. I guess they're just going to skip this pick. No, I think they're going to take Jalen Johnson at cornerback, a guy that is underrated because of the school he played at Utah. This guy's a lockdown corner. He doesn't generate a great number of turnovers. Again, kind of like we talked about with C.J. Henderson, but he only allowed catches on like 40-some% of his targets. That is elite level in college football. You're hoping to get that style locked down. Corner in Kansas City, if he could take away a number 1 option eventually, where he turns into that guy where even if he's not getting the picks, but you can't throw at your number 1 wide receiver, this defense becomes dangerous overnight. I think that is, again, in the past has been Kansas City's weakness. They kind of cleaned it up at the end of this year. I think adding a lockdown corner to a defense like this, like in an offense that scores like that, devastating.
Yeah, I like the pick, and you kind of talked me into wanting to pick a corner here, and I thought it was definitely possible. But when you have, in my mock draft, DeAndre Swift falling to them, where he is, in my opinion, the number 1 running back out of this draft, you take him. The speed, the vision, the cutting ability, the versatility of this guy. Scouts have been out there saying they like them more than they like Sony Michel coming out of college. They think he's faster than Nick Chubb. All these kind of things that make you go, this guy would be great in an offense like Kansas City has. I think Kansas City's going to focus on corners through the free agency. They did it last year. I could see him kind of doing it again. At 32, when you have the best running back fall to you on your lap, you lacked the running game, you need someone behind Damian Williams and sooner or later take over that. DeAndre Swift is the guy, and that's the reason why they're taking him.
I think I had him take one in the second round. I did. I actually had them take Jonathan Taylor because he was the last one left. But again, if they take a running back here, don't hate it. I think corner might be, I don't want to say more pressing need, but corner just seems to be a more valuable position. I can see the Chiefs going with a little bit of the value thing instead. But again, best player falls there. Instant upgrade.
We also talked about how deep the corners are in this free agency.
Yeah, we did. Absolutely.
And in this draft.
Yeah, and Kansas City's got money.
Yes, they do.
Scary thought. Scary thought. All right, guys. That was a great mock draft. I had a lot of fun.
I did too.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I can't wait to do mock draft 2.0 because this was before free agency, Phil. This is before the combine, and trust me, I am heavy into the combine.
And I'm not. I'm like, we've seen these guys play. We know how fast and strong and everything else. And then I watch the combine, and I'm like, well, don't fall in love with it. Don't fall in love with it. And then we talk about it all the time.
Work. Yeah. I'm watching these guys run the 40.
Thank you guys for sticking with us. It was a lot of fun. We've got some special thanks for each and every one of you.
Yes.
It was, again, an interesting mock draft. And all this is going to be out the window 2 weeks from now when free agency starts. Can't wait for that to happen.
Again, Frank, Ian, Sean, Justin, Austin, Joseph, Johnny, Jeremy, Michael, Cody, Bees, Luke, Ryan. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and commenting to our mock draft.
Absolutely. We will be back next week to talk about other things related to sports. I don't even know what we have scheduled. But we hope you can join us for that. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much. And as always, I'm Jake. This is Drew, and we'll see you next time.